Good afternoon. Bienvenidos a Esperanza Vence, donde la Esperanza vence. Welcome to Esperanza Vence, where hope wins. We're gonna change it up and do things a little differently here. I'm pulling in the energies of this upcoming Scorpio New Moon partial solar eclipse. Homeboy's here to be my audience and guide me. So is Coda Puppy. Two old codgers, old doggies. They're 14 and 15, but homeboy's got a lot of energy still. So you might hear them in the background. It's just such a beautiful day here in sunny Wisconsin. So we're just gonna do this outside today. And usually I like to have the perspective of the camera on the Celtic Cross so that you guys can learn how to read a Celtic Cross, but I don't know, we're just gonna try it differently today, and you're gonna watch me read, I suppose. So I'll hold the cards up and hopefully the camera will focus properly and hopefully the sound's all right, and it's fine. You know, all 16 of you lovely people who I really appreciate who do tune in, you'll get the idea, you'll get the message. And yeah, whoever's tuning into the energies of this new moon coming up, I just want you to know that this tarot deck here, this is the Modern Witch Tarot deck by Lisa Sturl. Love this deck. This is the first deck that I think I started with a couple of years ago. Well, I mean, I started with the regular Rider-Waite tarot deck like years and years and years ago, but when I started to make these videos like publicly, because I read tarot cards for 22 years now, but I didn't start doing it publicly till a couple of years ago when I made this channel, this Esperanza Vence, and I started Esperanza Vence on a different channel, and now that channel has more like music and just random shit, you know, and you can check that out. That's Esperanza Vence with both of the exclamation points. That's my other channel. This channel is Esperanza Vence Tarot, and this is just the tarot card readings. And this deck I started out with the Modern Witch Tarot. I don't really know where the camera is. I just hope that you can see these deer antlers because they're so cool. And hopefully my PBR t-shirt, because I love PBR. It's expensive now, though. I've started thinking about, golly, hams, you know. Not that I drink or anything. I was just thinking about it. Anyhow, this is the Modern Witch Tarot deck by Lisa Sturl. And there's a couple cool things about this deck. I also wanted to show you guys, I've been collecting these little baby, they're little baby peppers that I got at the farm. When we harvest the peppers, I save the babies. I call them my chakra peppers, so I got them for all the, I got my solar plexus chakra, I got my sacral chakra, hey homeboy, and I got my third eye chakra. So I got my chakra peppers. We're good. We're tuning in, right? But the peppers match this artwork on the tarot deck, so it looks really cool. So that's what I'm looking at while I read to you, is just this beautiful arrangement. Maybe I'll take a picture of it. Anyway, back to the lecture at hand. I just want you to know that you are a badass being full of life, love, and possibilities. Through this deck, may you find a path to your best self. And as I always say, thank you for fine-tuning your free will and intuition with me. I really appreciate it. Here at Esperanza Vence, where hope wins. When in doubt, go with hope. You'll always win, you know? I actually work with somebody named Hope, which is kind of funny. She thinks that tarot is like the devil's work, you know. She's one of the people that isn't like into it, you know. Like she's not feeling it. She's got her own sensibilities, you know. She's got her own way of tuning in. But I like to tune in with the tarot because all I consider it is it's 78 cards that represent different archetypes of life. And you know, back when they were burning books and getting rid of any type of esoteric or hermetic information that could help the average everyday person sort of tune into their higher guidance, the tarot cards survived. You know, the tarot cards are imagery that no matter what language you speak, whoop, what is this? The World card. I love the World card. The World card is a card of completion now. Since we're tuning into this Scorpio New Moon coming up, now if you want to go ahead and go to astro.com and put in your birth time, your birthplace, the location of your birth, ask your birth certificate where you were born and when, and you can get a chart that shows where Scorpio is. And this new moon falls at 2 degrees of Scorpio. Where I live in Wisconsin, it's going to happen right around 6 in the morning on the 25th of October. So just adjust your time accordingly. But in the grand scheme of things, right now, there's a couple of things going on in the sky. The North Node is in Taurus. That's where we're destined to go, okay? And the South Node is in Scorpio, and that's what we're being encouraged to cleanse and clean out and leave behind. And you know, anything in Scorpio, even though this is a new moon and this is new beginnings, there's going to be a lot of culminations occurring. The World card is the last card of the tarot before it flips around and starts again at 0 with the Fool. This is number 21 of the major arcana, okay? Those are the cards that hold the strongest energy in the tarot deck. The World card is like a full moon almost, like it represents culminations. It highlights completions. It also highlights, you know, accomplishments, coming to a pinnacle, you know, in your journey. So with this Scorpio new moon that we're tuning into, most new moons, you know, they carry energy for right around a month, like 28 days or so, a lunar cycle, until the next new moon. So this new moon is in Scorpio, and the last new moon was in Libra, and the next new moon is going to be in Sagittarius. All right. Well, Scorpio new moon. What is Scorpio? Scorpio is a deep water energy, and it's ruled by the planet Pluto. What does the planet Pluto represent? Well, the planet Pluto represents deep transformations, deep change, inner work, the hard work that a lot of us just don't want to do, you know? Like, who wants to feel their feelings? Like, personally, I'd rather drink a PBR than feel my feelings. But I guess there's some people out there that really like to do the deep work. But for a lot of us, it's you know, we kind of avoid the skeletons in the closet until they jump out at us and start strangling us, and then we're like, okay, I have to address this. Scorpio season is a good time to address those skeletons in the closet. Scorpio is about finding the deep, hidden, sometimes beautiful, sometimes icky inner truth that we're not willing to address on the surface level. See, Libra season is concerned about our relationships with others and how we interrelate in the world and in partnerships. So Scorpio season is very concerned with ourselves, our own deep inner work, our own deep inner sexuality. Scorpio is a very sexy sign. It's about the deep self-pleasure that we find, no judgment, you know. However you find your pleasure, you know, Scorpio is not going to judge. But they're going to want to experience that deep emotional as well as sexual pleasure. Since Scorpio's in the South Node at this time, we need to think about what are some of the deep rooted maybe patterns or habits, even addictions. You know, Scorpio rules over addictions, addictive tendencies, the devil card in the tarot. You know, what are some things that we can be willing to let go of? And in a new moon, you know, the energy usually lasts, like I said, 28 days, like a lunar cycle. But when there's an eclipse involved, which is the case on the 25th, coming up here on the 25th, well, we can think about the next 6 months of this energy sort of ringing out, you know, like ripples in a pond. Because when the sun is eclipsed by the moon, that's a rare event, and it holds a lot stronger energy. And not to mention that Venus is involved. We haven't even talked about Venus yet. Now, Venus is the planet that rules life, love. Venus rules Taurus. Taurus is where the North Node is right now. So this is the direction which we're going collectively. It's the path that we're sort of like a bull, you know, being led by the nose. You know, Taurus is the bull, but this is the way that we're collectively being led now. Taurus is ruled by the planet Venus, and Venus just conjuncted the sun yesterday in what they call a cazimi. Now, Venus is the evening star currently, and she's just going into Scorpio like today, tomorrow. And she'll be about a degree or two away from this eclipse. So she's involved. Venus as an evening star, you know, as a morning star, Venus is a go-getter. She goes after what she wants. She goes after what she loves. She approaches the object of her desire. You know, she has a crush on somebody and she says something about it. She asks that person out. She goes for that job. Now that Venus is the evening star, we can expect to magnetize that energy to us. If we're tuned into the Venus energies, and Venus rules love, beauty, money, self-worth, sustenance, you know, home and hearth, what feeds you, what feeds your heart. Because it's really hard to have love for yourself and love for your home if you don't have enough money to support these things, right? So Venus rules love, money, beauty. And not just love like sweet Two of Cups, like I have a crush on you love. She also rules, you know, that love that we're thinking about the polarity between Taurus and Scorpio. You know, Taurus is practical, it's earth-based. Scorpio is a water sign, it's emotional, and it has to do with like deep passion. Whereas Taurus is more practical. Well, Venus, the love that Venus rules, it embodies both the practical love of, you stinker, my dog is licking my foot. The practical love of, you know, I love you, I'm marrying you, we're creating a partnership, we're running a household together. But Venus also, as a night star, rules the deep, passionate love of like, let's hop in the closet while the kids are outside playing, and, you know, like sexy stuff, you know. And Venus also rules the type of love that's almost like an addiction. And in Scorpio season, and with Venus so close to the sun and the moon in Scorpio, you know, we need to keep our eyes peeled for that type of love addiction tendencies. Venus conjunct the sun is a great omen for connecting passionately with projects, with relationships, with others, with other human beings, with yourself. But it's also a time to, you know, as we say, ojo, keep an eye peeled for any type of addictive tendencies that you would have towards a person, a place, or a thing. Relationships started now are going to have that extra oomph and burst of passion. Relationships that you've been trying to get going might finally be consummated at this time. You know, depending on where Scorpio falls in your chart, it falls in my 5th house of children, creative endeavors. You know, I better be careful not to get pregnant, really, at this time. A couple cards wanted to jump. Judgment, 9 of Wands. The cards are starting to jump, and I'm starting to ramble. So I think you get the idea of the energies that we're working with right now. Go to astro.com, put in your birth information, see where 2 degrees of Scorpio falls in your chart. I'm going to start to... I had a tarot client that I bumped into a couple of days ago, and she said, when you did our reading, I was losing my shit. I was crying. She's like, you literally went somewhere, man, like whatever. And so that's what I do. You usually don't see me when I do these videos, but I'm not channeling any other entities but my own higher self. But I kind of spaced out a little bit. So I'm gonna now just tune into just the energies of this upcoming Scorpio New Moon on October 25th at 2 degrees. And I'm just going to space out a little bit and pull in the energies. Thank you for tuning in with me. Thank you for tuning into Esperanza, Vence, where hope wins. 7 of Swords. We've been pulling that a lot lately too. Just getting out in the nick of time. Whoever's tuning into this energy of the Scorpio New Moon, what do the cards want to say to us? What do the cards want to reveal to us? Tarot, tried and true. What's it say? How do it do? Help me say what I can see. Tarot, talk to me. Thank you. Okay, let's play. This is us. This is what's crossing us. This is in the near past. This is in the near future. This is our conscious awareness, our subconscious awareness. This is how we see ourselves in this situation. This is how others see us in this situation. These are our hopes and fears, and this is the likely outcome. I'm so excited. I'm really curious what this eclipse and Venus cazimi mean for us. Who are we in this story? We are the Hanged One. So the Hanged Man is a card of suspension. It's a card of enlightenment. It's a card of putting yourself in a position of immobility in order to gain enlightenment. This card is an archetype that represents Odin hanging from the tree of knowledge. Sometimes the birds come and peck at him, but he stays hanging with his legs in the figure 4 position, and you see the light coming from his head. That means he knows the truth, he knows who he is, he knows where he's going, he knows what he's going to do, but he's just not done gaining that last bit of enlightenment yet, so he's just got to sit still for a little while longer and gain the last bit of knowledge that needs to come from a spiritual source. What's crossing us? 3 of Cups. 3 of Cups is a card of having a good time and celebrating a good harvest. In this version of the Three of Cups, we don't see the pumpkins like we usually see in the Three of Cups, but we see three female characters raising their glasses together and just having a good time. As a challenge or as an obstacle, the Three of Cups could mean that, like, you need to set your drink down for a second and get to work. It could mean that you're having a little bit too much fun and you need to go ahead and, like, focus on some of the deep inner work or focus on some of the responsibilities that are happening in life right now. In the near past, we have the Hierophant reversed. The Hierophant upright is the card of going along with what society tells you to do. You see the Pope or the Pepes in this version of the tarot. A lot of the imagery is feminine gender based, which just goes to show that any archetype, it doesn't matter what gender it appears to be, the archetype represents any type of ruling over another. You know, and in this deck, as I recall, yes, a couple of these people down here almost look like battered or worn. You know how sometimes people are like poor spiritually or physically, and then they seek religion or they seek a leader to sort of guide them through their life instead of tuning into their own intuition and guidance or their own higher self. They look up to society or someone who has stature in society or someone who has claimed themselves a spiritual guru. You know, we see that a lot, right? Even on YouTube, we see that a lot. So the Hierophant upright is a card of following the dictates of this so-called spiritual guru or spiritual leader. Well, in the near past, we have the Hierophant reversed, which, being a little bit of a rebel that I am, I kind of like the Hierophant reverse because that means that you don't have to go with the grain. You don't have to do what they tell you. You can make your own way in the world and you can get in touch with your own intuition, and you don't need a spiritual intermediary to get between you and God. You have a direct line. 1-800-GOD, bro. Like, you can just connect yourself to your own higher power and you don't need to go through anybody else. So in the near past, which would have been the like past 2 lunation cycles, so from this new moon in Scorpio back to the new moon in Libra, back to the new moon in Virgo. So think of what was happening like end of July, you know, August, September, like end of the summer energy up until now. We've kind of been paving our own way in the world. We've kind of been coming closer to the acceptance that, like, we can do things our own way and we don't need to go through anybody else to get to God or our higher self or whatever it is that you believe in. In the near future, we have Temperance. Temperance is so beautiful in this card. Temperance is a card of balancing, you know, the partying with the spiritual enlightenment. Temperance is a card of balancing, like, your place in society or your place of rebelling against society in this case, and being with others. Temperance is a card where she's mixing the water and the wine together. So that doesn't mean that she gives up the wine entirely. It just means that, like, she has balance. This is an angel. I believe it's the angel, the Archangel. I don't remember if it's Michael or Gabriel. I know that Gabriel blew the trumpet on Judgment Day, but in the Temperance card, this might be Uriel, actually. But anyway, they usually have 1 foot on land and 1 foot in the water, which also represents that balance, which is similar to the Star card, which represents Aquarius energy. Temperance in the near future, so that's going to be like this new moon in Scorpio up to the new moon in Sagittarius, up to the new moon in Capricorn, so the next couple of lunation cycles, we're going to be able to enjoy a time of deeper balance. Maybe if we are doing our hanged one inner work, after this Scorpio new moon, and we are finding more enlightenment, and we might achieve more balance. That's what I think this represents. Which is interesting because Scorpio season is not about balance. Libra season is about balance. Libra season is about balancing like the me with the we, us with society, our relationships. But Temperance is like a card of finding peace and balance within yourself and within your higher self. Again, it's a major arcana, and we've already pulled 3 major arcanas out of 10, so this reading has a lot of strong energy for us to tune into. In our current conscious awareness, it's 8 of Cups reversed. 8 of Cups upright, let's talk about first. 8 of Cups upright is a card of like walking away from a painful situation or being in a painful situation and just saying like, I give up. I'm going to follow my intuition by the light of the moon, and I'm going to go on a rocky path. This path might suck, but I know for sure it's not going to suck as much as the path that I'm in. This card reminds me of being like, I was just talking to someone about this yesterday. She's going through a bit of a hairy divorce. I don't actually know her, but she opened up to me about some of her experiences this year because, fuck it, I'm just one of those people, like, you know, like, I need to be like Lucy and Peanuts and just put the fucking tip jar out and be like, you know, whatever, because people open up to me about their deep experiences in life, and I think it's easy for them to open up to me because maybe they don't know me, they don't know what a fucking bitch I am. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not a bitch, but I can be. But anyway, she was a friend of a family member of mine, and I just was like chilling or whatever, but she came up to me and started talking about some horrible experiences that she's had this year, and one of them being a terrible divorce that she's going through. She was in a very toxic relationship, and now she's having a toxic experience, obviously, with the divorce proceedings. And all I said to her was that, you know what, like, it's painful to be lonely sometimes, you know. I like being alone, but sometimes I'm like painfully lonely, and I think that that is just a human experience, you know what I mean? Like, I think that a lot of us who are somewhat social crave partnership, community, hugs, love. You know, I mean, you can hug yourself all day, but it's not the same, right? You can snuggle up with your pillows, but it's not the same, right? However, what I said to her was, you want to know what? The pain of loneliness is always preferred to the pain of being in a toxic relationship when you're right there with somebody else and you're still lonely. Like, that sucks. When someone's laying right next to you and you feel more alone than you would if you were just like with your freaking pillow or your dog laying there or something like that. You know what I mean? So it's always preferred to take the rough path and see how it goes, and maybe there will be something better on the other side if you follow the light of the moon and your own intuition. You know for a fact that these cups are tainted. You don't want the water that's in these cups. You don't want the wine or whatever might be in there. You're walking away from a painful situation and you're following your intuition to whatever's next, but you don't know what that is. The 8 of Cups reversed in our conscious awareness. Okay, so the inverse of this energy would be that, like, we know that painful situation's over. Like, we know we're done with that shit. We know that, like, we don't have to sit and wallow with shit. Like, we know that we made the right decision. We know we walked away, and we know that it's fine. With this new moon solar eclipse in Scorpio, which is, like we were saying before, where the South Node resides, that we're just like, we're willing to let go of toxicity like this. We're willing to take a new beginning like this. This is in our conscious awareness. I love that. I hope you can see these cards, because It's really windy out, and this keeps moving, but it'll be fine. You'll get the idea. Like, whoever's tuning into this video is just, you're gonna get the idea. It's fine. I mean, I don't have like multiple angles and stuff to where you could see. Maybe I'll pull that. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but anyway, in our subconscious awareness, the Devil card. Okay, what were we saying before about Scorpio? Sexiness, addictions, feeling chained to things or people, and feeling that sexual vibe, that love addiction, that it's okay, puppy, it's okay. He's whimpering like he wants to go inside. It's freaking 80, almost 80 degrees out. He's fine. He's got water. He'll be fine. He can listen to the rest of the tarot reading, little impatient doggy. The Devil card is in our subconscious awareness, so whether we realize it or not, this is driving us right now. This is the underlying force of this entire story that we're talking about during this new moon in Scorpio. The Devil card, like I said, it represents addictions. It represents any type of being chained to a situation and needing to let that go, needing to focus on your own health, mentally, physically, socially, or emotionally. The Devil is what binds, you know, and it's not the type of relationship that you necessarily want to have in a healthy way. It's the type of relationship that happens when you just feel that passion and go with it. So with this Venus conjunct the Sun, we need to pay attention to these types of energies that are happening in our life right now, because subconsciously we are being a little bit driven by our addictions. How do we see ourselves in this situation? Nine of Swords reversed. Nine of Swords upright is a card of like sitting up in the middle of the night and just having so much on your mind. Swords are always representative of air energy, which has to do with thoughts, communications. Just Nine of Swords is a card of a lot of just painful worry. Did I do the right thing? Did I say the right thing? Should I have texted them back, or should I have let that go? This is hanging on to just thoughts that like drive you awake at night. Nine of Swords reversed, how we see ourselves in this situation, is that, you know, like, what's the song? Don't worry, be happy, man. It's cool. Like, someone told me yesterday, don't fret, don't stress, don't fret. Obviously, with this new moon solar eclipse coming up, there's going to be a lot of changes on the horizon. And for the next 6 months, the changes that happen, like within the past 2 weeks and within the next 2 weeks, those are going to reverberate, you know, throughout the next 6 months, if not for the next year, until the eclipses change signs into Aries and Libra. But until those shifts begin, we're still going to be dealing with the sort of reverberations of this new moon partial solar eclipse at 2 degrees of Scorpio, and then also there's going to be a lunar eclipse on November 8th in Taurus. So in the next 2 weeks, a lot of the changes that occur, you know, and I'm going through a lot of changes personally, you know. I'm physically going through a move. My season is ending at the farm, and I have to start something new to carry me through the winter. I just have a lot of changes coming up, and I think a lot of us do at this time. And yeah, someone told me yesterday, don't fret, don't stress, don't fret. And the way we see ourselves in this situation is that we're just rolling with the changes. We're not going to sit up at night and worry about things. Things are going to happen, and we're going to let them happen, be it as it may. Nine of Swords reversed. How others see us in the situation? Ten of Wands reversed, which is cool because Ten of Wands upright means that you're carrying all these burdens on your shoulders. You're literally, Wands are always representative of passions and projects that you're involved in. love affairs, anything that you're passionate about, or anything that you put your fire energy into. And if you're doing too much, and if you're carrying too much of a load, it's going to be hard to make it home and rest. You might have to leave some of these behind and just take 1 or 2 or 3 with you and focus on that. Then you'll make it home and rest, and you can come back for the others, but one thing at a time. How others see us in the situation, or as our environment dictates during this new moon partial solar eclipse in Scorpio. 10 of Wands reversed. 10 of Wands reversed is an energy of just not having to carry that heavy burden anymore, not having to, the don't fret. You don't have to carry this heavy burden. Like, it's a lightness to it. It's more of a, like, when you let those scorpionic things go that need to go, those addictions, those addictive processes, those addictive relationships, those addictive binding contracts that you made willingly or unwillingly with yourself, society, or another, when you let these things go from your subconscious awareness, from yourself, you can see yourself as not worrying and being up all night worrying about things anymore, and others can see you, or your environment can dictate that, like, you can lift yourself of these heavy burdens. It might take a bit of work, it might take a little balance, it might take a little bit of rebellion against what society thinks you should do or how you should handle your business. But you know that you're willing to leave painful things behind, like this. You know that you're enlightened enough to know your own path and follow the path of intuition, like this. Doesn't have to be a long, dragged out process. As a challenge, it might not be fun, but it'll be good. Your hopes and fears in this situation, 8 of Wands reversed. 8 of Wands upright is a card of just, like, fast moving energy, passion. Like, you get a text like this, things turn around like that. As your hope and fear, it could mean that, like, you're afraid that things are going to take a little longer. You might be afraid of things stalling out. You might be afraid of not hearing what you want to hear. And listen, when you hear what you want to hear, it's not necessarily what you need to hear, okay? Whenever I want to book an astrology reading or a tarot reading from someone else, I want to say, they will say, like, what is your question? And I just want to say, tell me what I want to hear. So as a hope and a fear, because sometimes our hopes and fears are the same thing. Sometimes what we hope for is also what we're afraid of. Like, say you hope for $1 million, you also might be afraid of getting $1 million because you're not sure what you're going to do with it, or if you can even handle that much energy. Our hopes and fears, 8 of Wands in reverse, could just be that we are hopeful for these changes, these upcoming changes of this new moon solar eclipse, but we might fear that that energy might stall out, or that we might come up against, like, some stagnation or a wall. Or we might hope for a little bit more time. Actually, we might hope that we do have a little bit more time to work some of these things out, some of these changes. But as a hope or a fear, I always feel like 8 of Wands is a positive card. 8 of Wands is always just a card of eights. Eights are always positive numbers, basically. In my viewpoint, it's a lucky number. It's a card that represents wealth. It's a card that represents earth energy. And 8 of Wands is just fast moving. So as a hope or a fear, we just might be afraid that, like, the messages might not come in quick enough for us, or that we might not understand the messages that are coming in. And the likely outcome on this Scorpio New Moon partial solar eclipse is 5 of Pentacles. The likely outcome is that we're going to feel like we've been left out in the cold a bit. Maybe we are going on our own path, and maybe we are going on our own way, and it might cost us a little bit more than we had bargained for. It might take us a while to get stable financially. Also, with all these things going on in the world, you hear about the markets, you hear about the food shortages, you hear about, the cold winter coming up. I mean, I think a lot of us are actually for the next 6 months going to have to like really bear a cold, hard winter before like March, April comes through, and these shifts and changes that we're initiating now actually start to bear fruit. So I think that we can prepare for a little bit of scarcity. You might want to prepare yourself. You might want to have like a little bit of money stashed aside. You might want to have a second job lined up. You might want to have some food in the pantry. You might want to have an extra blanket or two, but at least you have someone with you. At least you're not alone in this. This is something that we're all kind of tuning into, but I think it's something that we can all kind of feel that's coming. I feel like there's going to be a long, cold, hard winter, and that we need to be aware of this, and we need to be prepared for this. So that's what I have for your new moon partial solar eclipse in Scorpio at 2 degrees. Again, go to astro.com, put in your birth information, and you can see where this falls in your chart. I really appreciate you tuning in with me today at Esperanza Vence Tarot, where hope wins. I don't think that Five of Pentacles is a likely outcome is that nasty of a card. I just think that it's representative of what's happening. I mean, that's the reality of life right now. There's a lot of twists and turns and changes to the collective narrative, and this is a collective reading. This isn't like I'm reading for you personally or for me personally. I'm reading the moon and what's happening to all of us. So I think we can all be honest and forthright with ourselves and with others, and understand that there's going to be some tough changes coming up here that are being initiated between this new moon solar eclipse and the lunar eclipse happening on November 8th. And it's good to, forewarned is forearmed, and it's good to prepare yourself for a bit of scarcity, because it wouldn't hurt. I mean, if you have extra, then great, you can share. Okay? I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in with me, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks for that lunar eclipse in Taurus. Peace.